I'm Samantha Collins, 29. I thought family meant loyalty until my Nana died, and my relatives slammed the door on me at her will, branding me a lazy leech for chasing photography instead of their corporate dreams. "You're cut out," my aunt hissed as they toasted their victory inside. But then the lawyer stepped forward, eyes sharp, and said something that made every glass freeze midair. Their smug smiles vanished in an instant, and that's when I realized Nana had outsmarted them in a way none of them saw coming. If it were you, would you make them pay or give them a chance to make things right? Comment below and let's debate. My bond with Nana was nothing like the rest of the family. While they worshipped money and status, she valued authenticity. Her California home, a relic from my grandfather's tech startup days, was grand, but she kept it humble: old furniture, no flashy upgrades. During family barbecues, when the others sneered at me, Nana would pull me into her den where vintage photo albums lined the shelves. Pointing to a faded picture of her and my grandfather, she'd whisper, "They called him a nobody." We built everything on love, not money. That's what this family forgot. Nana didn't just support me, she armed me with lessons for what was coming. She'd been betrayed by her own sister decades ago, cheated out of her inheritance, and she taught me to watch for patterns of greed. "Keep a record, Samantha," she'd whisper during our tea sessions, her eyes sharp despite her age. "People reveal themselves when money's at stake." She secretly wired funds to an offshore account for my photography degree, knowing my family mocked it as a dead-end hobby. She even showed me how to use encrypted apps to track emails and calls, saying one day you'll need proof to protect yourself. It was like she was training me to outsmart them, her voice calm but deliberate. The abuse from my family wasn't loud at first. It was calculated, a slow burn meant to break me. My aunt Rebecca Hayes acted like the family queen after my grandfather's death. She'd married my uncle Kevin Mitchell, a slick real estate broker who cared more about closing deals than actual people. Their kids, my cousins Nicole Mitchell and Brandon Mitchell, grew up entitled, flashing Rolexes and sneering at anyone who didn't keep up. My mother, Jennifer Collins, was the weaker link, always desperate for Rebecca's approval, changing her tone to match her sister's. My father, Stephen Collins, a mechanic, stayed out of it, working overtime to afford the family's lifestyle. My younger brother, Daniel Collins, started neutral, but got sucked into Rebecca's orbit, lured by promises of a big payout. Rebecca's campaign against me was systematic. She'd exclude me from family events like Nana's 65th birthday party, claiming I'd upset her. I'd show up anyway, only to hear her whisper to guests that I was leeching off Nana for cash. Kevin would grill me at dinners about my freelance photography, smirking, "When are you getting a real job, Samantha? This artsy stuff won't pay the bills." Nicole and Brandon took it online, posting stories with hashtags like family flop to mock my portfolio. Daniel, who I thought had my back, started dodging me after Rebecca dangled inheritance promises. Once at a 4th of July barbecue, he ignored me when I asked for help setting up Nana's photo display, later texting, "Don't embarrass us." The incidents piled up, each one a deliberate cut. Rebecca didn't invite me to Nicole's engagement party, saying I'd make it awkward. I crashed it anyway, slipping in through the back gate, and overheard her telling Kevin I was scheming to get Nana's money. I started my own secret log, a digital black book on my phone noting every slight. When Rebecca blocked my number during Nana's mild flu, claiming I'd stress her out, I recorded it. When Kevin canceled my biggest photography gig by bad-mouthing me to a client, I saved the email chain. I even posed as a delivery driver to get into Nana's house, once catching Brandon on video, bragging about cutting out the dead weight from the family trust. Nana knew it all. She'd seen the same greed in her sister years before, and she was ready. During one of our last private talks, she handed me a tiny encrypted drive saying, "This has everything cameras I hid in the house, recordings of what they've said. Keep it safe." She'd been building her own case, documenting every move Rebecca made to control her. It wasn't just love she gave me. It was ammunition. As I left her den that day, her words stuck. "They'll underestimate you, Samantha. Let them." That's when you strike. Years of their cruelty fueled my next move. The abuse only escalated once Rebecca decided control wasn't enough. She wanted me erased. She hired a private investigator to shadow me, rifling through my freelance clients until she found the tiniest scraps to twist. Soon whispers spread that I was a gambling addict, a convenient lie to justify keeping me away from Nana. Then came the real dagger. Rebecca pressured Nana into signing a temporary power of attorney, cutting me off from her finances and medical decisions. But she didn't stop there. Behind my back, Rebecca launched a secret signal group with the rest of the family, passing around color-coded spreadsheets that reduced my existence to a single label: high risk. Plans to carve up Nana's estate were drawn while she was still alive. To poison the well further, Rebecca fed lies to Nana's neighbors, telling them I begged for loans and bullied her for money. The rumors crawled back to me through a friend, each one burning hotter than the last. Rebecca's moves were calculated to isolate me completely. She pushed for Nana to change the house locks, citing security concerns after a minor break-in nearby, ensuring I couldn't drop by unannounced. She replaced the housekeeper with someone loyal to her who reported every visitor and even photographed license plates. Visits became regimented 1 hour a week, supervised with Rebecca often dropping in to monitor. The Tin John ramped up too. She told our extended relatives I was unstable, obsessed with Nana's will, which led to awkward calls from distant cousins asking if I needed help. I fought back in the shadows, careful not to tip my hand. I slipped a tracking app onto Daniel's phone during a rare family lunch. He couldn't skip capturing screenshots of their group chat discussions about sidelining me. When Kevin bragged about a shady property flip that skirted taxes, I anonymously mailed him a warning letter with IRS guidelines highlighted, making him paranoid enough to delay some deals. I gathered receipts from public records showing Rebecca's expenses on luxury items charged to joint family accounts, building a timeline of misuse. For Nana, I set up a secure video call line through an encrypted platform, bypassing Rebecca's blocks where we'd talk late at night about her wishes without interruption. My subtle counters kept me one step ahead. When Rebecca tried to schedule Nana's doctor visits without me, I posed as a telemarketer to the clinic and fished for confirmation emails, forwarding them to Parker for safekeeping. I even joined online forums under a fake name to learn about estate laws in California, preparing for the legal storm I knew was brewing. Nana's health updates came through coded messages in our calls. She'd mentioned the garden needs weeding to signal Rebecca's latest pressure tactic. The turning point came hard and fast. Nana suffered a stroke from the constant stress Rebecca piled on, arguing about moving her to a facility closer to their house for better control. She was rushed to the hospital, and Rebecca immediately barred me from the room, telling nurses I was estranged and a potential threat. She even had security posted at the door claiming family orders. I couldn't get in, but I hacked the hospital's patient portal using credentials I'd gleaned from earlier reconnaissance, pulling her records to see Rebecca had altered emergency contacts to exclude me. In our last frantic call that night, Nana's voice weak but urgent, she whispered the location of a hidden USB in her study safe along with the code. Use it to make them pay for what they've done, she said, her breathing labored. Don't let them win, Samantha. The line went dead as nurses interrupted. Nana slipped away that night, and Rebecca wasted no time organizing a closed funeral, not even bothering to notify me. Rebecca's betrayal hit its peak at the will reading. I learned about it through a careless text from Brandon meant for his inner circle, not me. Will reading Nana's house Friday noon. Dress sharp. It was a gut punch. Not being invited to say goodbye to Nana was bad enough, but this was deliberate exclusion. I showed up anyway, wearing a black blazer Nana had gifted me for my first gallery show, my old sedan parked awkwardly between Rebecca's Range Rover and Kevin's Tesla. The doorman hesitated but let me in, his face tight with unease. Inside, the living room buzzed with smug confidence. Rebecca had hired a slick-talking lawyer, a former associate of Gregory Parker, to read a forged will. She stood at the center, champagne glass in hand. As he announced the split, Rebecca got 50% of Nana's estate, Kevin 25%, Nicole and Brandon 10 each, and Daniel 5. For me, a single tarnished locket, supposedly Nana's, with a note read aloud in a mocking tone. Samantha, learn to stand on your own, not on my wealth. The room laughed, sharp and cruel. Nicole whipped out her phone, live streaming my stunned silence on Instagram with a caption, "Greedy cousin gets what she deserves." Kevin leaned in, smirking, time to sell this place and move on. No room for freeloaders. The humiliation burned. Rebecca took it further, reciting a fabricated reason from Nana. Samantha cared only for my money, not my love. The words cut deeper than any insult. Brandon chimed in, posting a TikTok clip of my frozen expression tagged family reject. Daniel, who I'd hoped might waver, stood up and declared, "I'm done with the sister who'd rather mooch than work." The family clapped, their victory sealed. I tried to grab a photo frame of Nana from the mantel, but Rebecca signaled security. 2 guards escorted me to the porch, one muttering an apology as my shoes scuffed the gravel. I was at my lowest, sitting in my car, the live stream notifications pinging relentlessly. My biggest photography client texted canceling a shoot, citing reputation concerns from the viral clips. I stared at the dashboard, thoughts spiraling to giving up entirely. Maybe they were right. Maybe I was nothing. The weight of their betrayal, amplified online for thousands to see, crushed me. I considered driving away for good, leaving Nana's memory behind to escape the pain. Then my phone buzzed with a secure message from Gregory Parker, "Meet me at the coffee shop across from the estate. Urgent." I wiped my face, mascara smearing, and drove over, barely holding it together. Parker was waiting, his expression grim but steady. "The will reading was a sham," he said, sliding a folder across the table. "Rebecca paid off my old associate to forge it. Nana's real will, backed by her voice recordings, names you as sole heir." He handed me a USB drive, its weight heavy with promise. "She recorded everything, Rebecca's schemes, the family's lies. It's all here." I plugged the USB into my laptop, hands shaking. Nana's voice filled my earbuds, clear and resolute, detailing how Rebecca had pressured her to sign false documents, how Kevin had siphoned funds, how my own brother had turned against me for a cut. The recordings were time-stamped, irrefutable, and tied to a legal will Parker had safeguarded. My despair shifted to a cold, focused fury. Nana hadn't just left me her estate, she'd given me the tools to make them pay. Their celebration was about to crash. I walked back into that room with Nana's truth in my hands. The air was thick with champagne and arrogance, Rebecca still gloating as she toasted to their victory. I stood at the doorway, USB drive tucked in my pocket, Gregory Parker by my side. He cleared his throat and the chatter died. "This reading was a fraud," he announced, voice steady as steel. "The real will of Barbara Evans, legally binding, and witness names Samantha Collins as sole heir to her entire estate, house, investments, everything." He held up the document, dated weeks after Rebecca's last manipulation attempt, backed by Nana's notarized competency tests. The room exploded. Rebecca's glass slipped, shattering on the hardwood. "That's impossible," she shouted, lunging toward Parker. She was coerced. Kevin jumped in, face red, demanding to see proof, while Nicole and Brandon yelled over each other about unfairness. Daniel, who'd called me a mooch hours earlier, stared at the floor, silent for once. Parker didn't flinch. He played a recording from the USB, Nana's voice calm but cutting, detailing how Rebecca pressured her to sign fake papers, how Kevin diverted funds from her accounts for his deals, how my own brother traded loyalty for a promised cut. "They betrayed my trust," Nana said, each word a blade. "Samantha alone honored me." Immediate fallout hit hard. Parker declared the fake reading null, reporting the forged will to authorities. Rebecca's hired lawyer, sweating, was escorted out by police for questioning on fraud charges. Bank accounts tied to the estate froze instantly under court order, cutting off Rebecca's access to funds she'd already earmarked for a new yacht. I exercised my new authority, ordering security to remove them from Nana's house. Rebecca's protest turned to shrieks as guards ushered her to the driveway, her designer heels clicking in defeat. The power shift was electric. I faced Rebecca, her face pale with rage, and said, "You thought you could erase me, but Nana made sure I'd decide your fate." Nicole tried snapping a photo for her followers, but I stared her down until she fumbled her phone. Kevin blustered about lawsuits, but Parker cut him off. "The will is ironclad. Contest it, and you'll drown in legal fees." Daniel reached for my arm, mumbling an apology, but I stepped back. "You chose your side," I told him, my voice cold. The room, once their stage, now felt like my courtroom. I didn't rush the revenge, it needed precision. Back at my apartment, I pored over the USB's contents and Nana's recordings, emails showing Rebecca's schemes to lock me out, bank statements proving Kevin's theft. I hired a private investigator to dig deeper, targeting their financials. Early findings showed Kevin had dodged taxes on multiple properties, a ticking bomb I'd detonate later. Rebecca had funneled Nana's money into offshore accounts, thinking she was untouchable. Nicole and Brandon weren't clean either. Their social media empires relied on bot followers and shady sponsorships, easy to expose. My plan took shape. I'd start with legal action, reporting Kevin's tax fraud to the IRS, filing a civil suit against Rebecca for defamation and theft. But that was just the opening move. I'd use Nana's connections, old friends in high places, to leak their misdeeds to industry insiders, ensuring Kevin's real estate network collapsed. For Nicole and Brandon, I'd seed their online dirt to gossip blogs, letting their followers turn on them. Daniel's betrayal stung deepest, so I'd hit him where it hurt. No forgiveness, no contact, no share of Nana's legacy. Every step would be deliberate, exposing their greed while honoring Nana's wish for justice. Their downfall was just beginning. I set their world ablaze with Nana's truth. Rebecca's empire crumbled first. Using Nana's recordings, I handed the IRS a detailed report of Kevin's tax evasion, shady property flips hidden through shell companies. The fines hit fast, forcing them to liquidate assets. My civil suit against Rebecca for defamation and theft, backed by her emails siphoning Nana's funds for a vacation home, landed her a court order to repay $200,000. Their suburban mansion went up for auction to cover legal fees, and Rebecca faced a 3-month jail stint for forging estate documents. Kevin's real estate license was revoked after clients dropped him spooked by whispers I'd seeded through Nana's old business contacts. Their social circle shrank overnight, invitations to galas replaced by cold shoulders. Nicole and Brandon's online facades collapsed next. I leaked their TikTok clips mocking me, paired with Nana's recordings calling out their greed to a gossip blog with 50,000 followers. The post went viral, exposing Nicole's fake sponsorship deals she'd been scamming brands with bought followers. Her online store tanked as customers bailed, leaving her to hawk cheap jewelry at flea markets. Brandon's employer, a tech startup, fired him after I sent proof of his resume. Lies funded by Nana's money. Their follower counts plummeted, replaced by hate comments branding them frauds. Mutual friends ghosted them, and Nicole's engagement fell apart when her fiancé saw the backlash. Daniel's betrayal cut deepest, so his punishment was personal. I released his recorded disownment. "I'm done with a sister who'd mooched," to our extended family's group chat. The shame hit hard. Cousins he'd courted for business deals cut ties. When he begged for a loan to save his failing car dealership job, I refused, blocking his number. His LinkedIn profile went dormant, and I heard, through a mutual acquaintance, he'd moved to a cramped studio drowning in debt. No family, no prospects, he was alone. Jennifer and Stephen faced their own reckoning. My mother's timid apologies came too late. I sent a single text, "Your silence enabled them." We're done. Their marriage, already strained, fractured under the financial pressure of legal battles tied to Rebecca's fraud. Stephen's overtime couldn't cover their mortgage, and they downsized to a rental apartment. Jennifer tried reaching out through mutual friends, but I shut it down, letting her stew in regret for choosing Rebecca over her daughter. The psychological blows were relentless. Every month I mailed each of them a package, copies of Nana's recordings, screenshots of their lies, and a note: "You built this ruin." I funded a local anti-bullying campaign using Rebecca's name in press releases as a cautionary tale of family betrayal. My investigator kept tabs, reporting Rebecca's failed job applications, Kevin's stress-related hospital visits, and Nicole's desperate attempts to rebuild her image. Brandon's drinking spiraled, and Daniel's social media went silent, his posts replaced by vague pleas for forgiveness I ignored. Every move was calculated to dismantle their lives, not just financially, but socially and emotionally. Nana's recordings weren't just evidence, they were a blueprint for justice. I worked with Parker to ensure every legal step was airtight, from IRS audits to defamation claims. Their attempts to fight back Rebecca's frantic countersuit, Kevin's empty threats fizzled against Nana's ironclad will. The family that once mocked my photography now faced the consequences of underestimating me. Their ruin was my foundation, and I was just getting started. 1 year later, their ashes settled, and I rose. Rebecca's life unraveled completely. After her jail stint, she emerged broken, divorced from Kevin, scraping by as a cashier in a strip mall. Her attempts to rebuild her social standing failed. Old friends shunned her, and her LinkedIn profile sat untouched, her name tainted by fraud headlines. Kevin's downfall was steeper. The IRS fines drained his accounts, and with his license gone, he took a job driving delivery trucks, his health crumbling under debt and stress. Their once glossy mansion was now someone else's home, sold at a foreclosure auction for pennies on the dollar. Nicole and Brandon hit rock bottom. Nicole's online brand collapsed after the viral expose, her fake sponsorships exposed in a scathing Reddit thread. She moved back to Rebecca's cramped apartment, selling handmade trinkets at weekend markets, her influencer dreams dead. Brandon fired and blacklisted, worked odd construction jobs, his nights lost to cheap bars and regret. Their social media accounts, once boasting thousands of followers, were now ghost towns, mocked by strangers who'd seen their betrayal laid bare. Daniel's punishment lingered longest. After I shared his disownment recording, his reputation tanked. He lost his job when clients pulled out, unwilling to trust a family traitor. He texted me dozens of times pleading for a meeting, but I blocked every attempt, leaving him to drown in isolation. I heard he'd moved to a rundown trailer park, his savings gone, his pride shattered. He'd gambled on Rebecca's promises and lost everything. Jennifer and Stephen's lives fractured beyond repair. My mother's late apologies, sent through desperate voicemails, went unanswered. I mailed her a final letter: "You stood by while they tore me apart. Live with that." Their marriage collapsed under the weight of financial ruin tied to Rebecca's failed lawsuits. Stephen lost his garage to foreclosure, forced into low-paying warehouse work. Jennifer took a part-time clerk job, her days haunted by the daughter she'd abandoned. My transformation was undeniable. Nana's estate, valued at $5 million, funded my rise as a celebrated photographer. I opened a studio in Los Angeles, my work featured in national galleries, each piece a tribute to Nana's belief in authenticity. I launched the Barbara Evans Foundation, turning her suburban house into a community art center for at-risk youth. Letters poured in from strangers whose lives Nana had touched, scholarships, funded small businesses, saved all through her secret donations I uncovered in her files. Her legacy became my purpose, a beacon of what family could mean when built on trust. The ultimate revenge wasn't vengeance, it was thriving. I sent the family one last package, a photo of my latest gallery opening, packed with supporters, paired with a note. You tried to bury me, but I grew. Nana's love won. No forgiveness, no second chances. Their pleas for reconciliation, Rebecca's tearful emails, Daniel's groveling texts met cold silence. I owed them nothing. In the final scene, I stood in my studio overseeing a youth workshop. Rebecca appeared at the door, haggard, applying for a janitor job, unaware I owned the place. She froze when she saw me, stammering an apology. I don't hire people who'd sell out their own blood, I said, turning away. She left, head bowed as rain